By the time the third Red Bull Kumite came around, the event had established itself as a premier invitational fighting game tournament.
There is, oh my goodness!
Oh, he goes for the slash!
There's Vexus from Manchester! Is it going to be over? Sonic Boom!
It wasn't a part of the Capcom Pro Tour, but it had the prestige of EVO and a production polish rivaling the biggest esports events.
Red Bull Kumite 2017, let's go! Woo!
The biggest success, however, was how Red Bull Kumite built up the reputation of being a players' tournament through and through.
Are you kidding me?
Got a big smile on his face, he knows!
In 2017, the state of Street Fighter V was in flux. A contingent of new names like Punk, Big Bird, Phenom, Fujimura, Problem X, Oil King, Gachikun, and others began to test the established order of Street Fighter IV.
Oh wow, Gachikun with the read, face out the reversal too.
Lovely!
It's a really tough one to call, these two are so damn good.
The year would be an inflection point for the debate of the old guard versus the new. And Red Bull Kumite was right in the middle of it.
Infiltration's got to be careful now, he's not going to react before he got him. If Vexus takes in, it's all coming from the jump-ins, I've got to say.
The 2017 Red Bull Kumite reflected those changing times with its lineup. There were still EVO champions of the old game in attendance. Daigo, Luffy, and Infiltration represented that group, with the latter being not only the 2016 Red Bull Kumite champion, but the EVO 2016 champion as well.
Infiltration continues his reign of terror on the Street Fighter V landscape.
Bonchan and Tokido were in attendance, along with Nemo, who missed out on Kumite last year and was largely absent from the circuit in general.
How quick was that comeback from Nemo, making all the adjustments here.
Xiaohai, RB, and PR Balrog were first-timers to Red Bull Kumite, but players who represented their regions in Street Fighter IV well.
Oh, he gets the trade!
PR takes it with the trades!
However, it was the less established names in the FGC that showed up ready to prove their mettle. Names like Phenom, Mr. Crimson, XYZZY, Gachikun, and Infectious were ready to bring it to the old time.
Brick wall defense from Gachikun, and then the punish of the fireball. This guy's on fire, but he gets opened up.
Even the names in the Last Chance qualifier gave rise to some newer talent for France's local scene. The stage was set for a shift in power. The two setting the tone for the new stars were Gachikun and Infectious. Infectious had a rough start, losing 2-0 to the Kumite champion Infiltration, but bounced back not only to eliminate Infiltration from the event,
Oh, he goes for the slash!
Oh my goodness!
Infectious!
but take out PR Balrog, XYZZY, and Daigo along the way to a third-place finish at the event. Gachikun showcased even more dominance. He stayed on the winner's side of the bracket throughout, sending Xiaohai, Tokido, Infiltration, and Nemo to the losers.
Ever so ready is Gachikun.
With a grand finals finish secured, the Red Bull Kumite Championship was within Gachikun's reach. The old guard of Street Fighter wasn't going to give up their crown so easily, however. In fact, it would be the veterans of Street Fighter showing the strength of the game's recently released DLC characters. Both Nemo and Daigo came to the event with new characters, Urien and Guile, respectively. Daigo bounced back in the losers after a first-round loss to XYZZY,
Light kick is coming out! Oh!
defeating RB, Tokido, Phenom, and Bonchan, showing just how effective Guile could be. But it was Nemo, the salaryman who balanced his work life and being a top competitor, that ultimately showed up for the old guard. With his new tool in Urien, Nemo gave the crowd a spectacle. Phenom and PR Balrog got the early taste of what Nemo would bring to the tournament, losing to him in the early stages of the tournament.
Not enough scaling, and he's done it. Nemo sends Phenom to the losers bracket.
The first Red Bull champion, Bonchan, was the next victim as Nemo headed to the winners finals. Gachikun would steal back some of the thunder, beating Nemo in the winners finals.
Gachikun's Rashid marches on!
But Nemo bounced back, cooling off Infectious after an intense loser finals
And
battle.
I love one. Beautiful play. And Nemo has solidified his place in the grand final.
The loser finals match gave Nemo enough time to adapt and outplay Gachikun in the grand finals to become a Red Bull Kumite champion.
Nemo's taking it. Nemo!
For now, the players that were heroes in Street Fighter IV continued to dominate Street Fighter V, but that wouldn't last. By the time the 2018 Red Bull Kumite rolled around, the shift in power was apparent. The reigning Capcom Cup champion was a young man from DR named Maynard. The EVO champion, UK's own Problem X, as well as other young players like Fujimura, were securing tournament victories. This time around, Red Bull Kumite came later in the year, right before the Capcom Cup final. It could serve as a preview of what was to come, an all-star game for Street Fighter V.
Oh, the parry! Oh, cross-up teams! You have not seen that! Wow!
The guest list for this tournament featured the most newcomers of any in the past. Mainstays like Tokido, Daigo, Bonchan, Nemo, and Luffy made their appearances as usual, but the newcomers were a combination of champions and fan favorites that were too good to ignore. Making this list this year were Rashid specialist Oil King, the 2018 CEO champion Fujimura, Smug and his 1-2 combination of Balrog and G, the legend who was finally finding his footing in Street Fighter V Punko, the incredible French Alex player Gunfight, longtime Marvel competitor Filipino champ, and Angry Bird, who was beginning to make waves as a competitor in the EU region. The 2018 Last Chance qualifier was expanded to 3 spots, as the Capcom Cup champion Maynard was unable to attend. This made way for Hot Dog 29, Junior Leo, and the runner-up from last year's Kumite, Gachikun, to make their way into the main event. The opportunity was ripe for the new stars to emerge, and they delivered.
This entire game has been a highlight reel so far.
Problem X, the EVO champion, was sent to the losers bracket very early on by the Red Bull Kumite champion Nemo.
Nemo takes it with a sidekick jump back to catch that slide.
But that was only the start of one of the best loser bracket runs the tournament had ever seen. On his way up the ladder, he took out Bonchan, Oil King, Tokido, Smug before getting a rematch against Nemo and sent the Kumite champion home without a chance to repeat.
Oh, and that's gonna be it, Problem X!
Standing in the way of his chance to reach the grand finals was Daigo. The tightly contested match gave us a comeback from Daigo that could rival the FGC Icon's legendary third strike parry.
Oh God, Beer Russell, no! That made him see.
Ultimately, though, flashes of the beast could not stop Problem X's run to the grand finals, setting up a match against one of Japan's new elite players, Fujimura. Fujimura was dominant throughout the tournament, convincingly handling Filipino champ Oil King, Luffy, and even Daigo in his run to the grand finals.
Emphatic stuff!
His career in Street Fighter V was already marked with moments of technical efficiency, but that prowess was on full display at Red Bull Kumite.
That's gonna be big effort. There is one mix-up away. That makes it
Oh my God, what's it gonna be?
Can Fujimura
Got
get
Beer
it?
Wrestling. He knew he was gonna do it. Fujimura with the
This wasn't the
ultimate
first
read.
meeting between Fujimura and Problem X. In fact, Fujimura secured a key victory over Problem X to become the CEO 2019 champion. Problem X would have his revenge at EVO, demolishing Fujimura in a 2-0 sweep with his pocket character, the monstrous Abigail. Problem X's Abigail was ready to dispatch Fujimura once again, but this time Fujimura had answers. He stayed nimble in the match, optimally punishing Problem X's mistakes into wins. The beating forced Problem X to reconsider his character choice, switching back to his main character and Bison, but it was too late. Fujimura finished a 3-1 victory and came out of the event as the Red Bull Kumite champion, the last champion in the event's run in France.
In the corner.
Oh, he gets shimmied
I
again!
think it's over. I think he's done it. Fujimura
And that is
going
gonna
to
be
be
it.
your Red Bull Kumite 2018 champion with a 3-1 win over Problem X in the grand finals.
Red Bull Kumite 2019 marked the biggest change for the Invitational tournament, leaving behind its home in the Sal Wahlgram Auditorium for the Aichi Sky Expo in Japan. Going to the mecca of fighting games meant one thing: the event had to go bigger on its celebration of them. Explorations of the Japanese arcade scene was a must, and getting a glimpse of both international and local players' thoughts and experiences of it was a great way to make the event feel right at home. The longtime attendees Bonchan, Daigo, Tokido, and Luffy continued their streak of being in the Grand Dance, while Bonchan coming into the event as the EVO champion for that year. Returning from previous years were Big Bird, Gachikun, Infectious, Fujimura, and Problem X, all now well established in the FGC. As for the first-timers, Kichipamu and Haku represented the new generation of top players from Japan, while YHC Mochi, a veteran of Japan's FGC, got a chance to compete in front of the home crowd. The two players from the US were 801 Strider and Punk, the latter of whom many had been waiting to see perform in the Kumite Octagon. Takamura, a player who began to make significant strides in Europe, would also get a shot at showing what he could do. But before the main event, we were treated to one of the most stacked last chance qualifiers of any Red Bull Kumite. Names such as Hot Dog 29, Infiltration, Jobin, Moke, Gunfight, Dagura, and a wave of many talented Japanese contenders made for a crazy day of competition.
He's gonna make the comeback!
But it was Storm Kubo who would rise to the top of the ranks in the LCQ, making him the 16th representative of the Red Bull Kumite.
And Kubo closes it out! Infiltration still in his chair, sips a drink.
Matches at Red Bull Kumite 2019 lived up to the hype of the LCQ. The mainstays struggled to overcome the new crop of Kumite talent this time around, opening up more opportunities for new faces to take center stage. Takamura and 801 Strider were standouts in the event, with Takamura taking down Punk and Problem X, and 801 Strider rallying to third with wins over Storm Kubo, Kichipamu, Takamura, and even getting the better of EVO champion Bonchan.
And he takes the victory 2-1.
It would be Fujimura's budding rivalry with players from the UK that ultimately took center stage, however. The Ibuki powerhouse continued where he left off in 2018, clearing a path to the finals bracket, beating both Takamura and Tokido convincingly.
The empty jump lock secures it, and Tokido is eliminated from the...
His rematch with Problem X went in his favor once again, with a 2-0 victory over the 2018 EVO champion.
He can't! And he wins!
So slippery!
Problem X wanted the activation.
Standing in the way of his repeat victory was the machine, Infectious. In his second time at Red Bull Kumite, Infectious left destruction in his wake, not dropping a single set against opponents like YHC Mochi, 801 Strider, and the 2018 Capcom Cup champion Gachikun.
Oh, let's
You're
fly
the
again.
big apple.
Goes in! Yes, the cow!
His Terminator-like precision played well for the crowd, but Fujimura was having none of it. He handed Infectious not only his first set loss of the day, but defeated him in both winners and grand finals to become the first back-to-back Red Bull Kumite champion.
Oh, the goal! Somebody skill too!
No!
Finally! You said don't do it in the block thing! Finally!
Red Bull Kumite had its first hometown hero.
And he is the first man not only to win 2 Red Bull Kumite titles, but the first man to defend his title.
In 2020, the global pandemic brought the FGC to a standstill. Without the online infrastructure to facilitate global competition, the tournament scene was kept to a very strict set of regional matches. It would take a full year before the type of international competition that the Street Fighter scene is used to would come back. But return it did, in the form of Red Bull Kumite 2021 in the Red Bull Gaming Sphere in London. With the triumphant return of international in-person competition, we got an entirely new format that featured group stages, a team tournament, and a showcase of Guilty Gear Strive that added more fuel to a heated rivalry between the competitors. Gone was the octagon that many were fond of, replaced by underground decor of the new setting reminiscent of the London Underground. It was intimate and left room for only one thing: high-class matches. 3 players continued to have perfect attendance at Red Bull Kumite, with Tokido, Bonchan, and Luffy answering the call to compete once again. Punk, Problem X, Takamura, and Gachikun were all reprising their roles as top competitors, while Mr. Crimson and Smug showed up for the first time in years for another shot at Red Bull Kumite glory. Newcomers were a mixture of players with high potential in Kawano, Hurricane, Vegapatch, and the Capcom Cup champion Idom, who was getting his first real shot at competing internationally. 2 homegrown talents, Shaquille and Bolt Strike, would get their big chance in the main event after fighting their way through the last chance qualifier. Red Bull Kumite gave us 2 new features, a round-robin stage and a team tournament. Both changes led to more matches for spectators to enjoy. The team tournament, which had players in their respective groups team up to face off against other groups, ensured that players at least had the opportunity to play against each other before the knockout stages. The group consisting of IDOM, Mr. Crimson, Gachikun, and Boltstrike ultimately won the team tournament, taking their success into the main event.
That's it! Gachikun closes it out! What an amazing performance of adaptation!
Mr. Crimson and IDOM made it out of their groups convincingly, with the latter going 3-0 in his group on the way to the finals.
Oh, getting it! Oh, the dash takes it! Phenom into the conversion! IDOM is gonna take that game 1, and the turning point was that punish drop.
Bonchan was another name to go undefeated in his own group, with Hurricane, Punk, Phenom, Luffy, and Takamura making it out with 1 loss apiece. As a result, the top 8 was set with only 1 former Red Bull champion left in play. The format for the bracket was single elimination, but what made things special was the increasing number of sets as the bracket went on. The finals bracket consisted of first to 3 sets for the quarterfinals, first to 4 sets in the semifinals, and a final first to 5 sets for the grand finals. Longer sets give players even more opportunities to adapt, and that adaptation was especially good to Mr. Crimson. After his thrilling pop-off laden match against Punk, he took on Luffy in a back-and-forth matchup, eventually winning 4-3 and getting a shot at the Capcom champion in the grand finals.
Oh, he's done it! Mr. Crimson!
He seemed unstoppable, Luffy, when he's running.
IDOM continued to dominate in the finals bracket. He defeated Phenom in a close 3-2 match, and followed up with a sound 4-1 victory over Evo champion Bonchan, securing a spot in the grand finale against Mr. Crimson.
IDOM on his way to grand finals of Red Bull Kumite London, and what?
The battle between IDOM and Mr. Crimson would go the distance, with each competitor pushing ahead with slight leads until the final game.
No, you don't, IDOM, you're so clutch! What a read! Oh my days, Tyrant!
For Mr. Crimson!
The final game went to the very last round, and when the dust settled, Mr. Crimson was the last man standing. A French player would finally become the Red Bull champion. There have been many invitationals in the lifespan of Street Fighter V, but Red Bull Kumite is one of the few that have become an unquestioned part of the FGC.
And he closes it out! What a performance from Tokido!
The event's ability to keep the focus on competition while introducing the FGC to a unique tournament experience has garnered the respect of competitors and the adoration of fighting game fans across the globe. Red Bull Kumite's next destination will be the United States, home to many of the young, talented players that have dominated the Street Fighter V landscape today. Many see its arrival as a chance to make a statement, and as it has done so many times in the past, the Octagon is ready to provide that opportunity.